Charles Davis in 10 minutes. We're going to talk Cavs here, and then we're going to talk Cavs after Charles as well. But Brian Windhorst, it was either last night or the night before, was asked about whether or not the Cavs should be considered the favorite in the Eastern Conference. He responded with this, and then we're going to react to Windhorst's comments, whether you think they're fair or not. Steve, let's hear what Brian Windhorst has to say.
Exactly what Donovan just said there. That soundbite he has said in one form or another dating back to September, which is it doesn't matter what we do in the regular season. What matters is how we perform in the playoffs. And he says that not just to set the example for his team, but from, experience, because he had some really good teams in Utah. Okay, not this good of a team in Utah, but the Jazz at times were the number one overall seed in the whole playoffs and weren't able to get it done. Weren't even able to get to the conference finals. And so part of it is the Cavs haven't done it yet. The Cavs haven't proven that they can win 12 games in a playoff setting, which is what you're going to need to get to the finals. What is very impressive about this team was on display last night. Donovan Mitchell did not have a good shooting night. Darius Garland did not have a good shooting night. Evan Mobley did not have a good shooting night. Yet on the road, they beat a quality team, potential second-round opponent, because they're so deep and have so many different ways they can play.
G. Bush, you got any problem with what Brian Windhorst said?
No, I don't have a problem with what he said, but in kind of dissecting and getting down to what he's saying there are sometimes I would rather be the team that hasn't proven anything than the team that has proven something. I think sometimes we tell ourselves, yeah, give me the championship pedigree. We know where our guys have been there. But sometimes I done been on both sides where, hey, we're an upcoming team and we just know we're good and we got you. And then there's another set of teams where I've been on where we've won before, kind of, played medium and kind of sleptwalked through some games. But the problem is, if you lean on that championship pedigree too much, I feel like that's you get drunk off that. You don't have the edge because instead of sensing any fear and sensing that, hey, we can get hurt out here. We got some blind spots we need to really clean up. And instead of you cleaning up those blind spots and really focusing and drilling down on what are some things that's causing you not to be at a championship level, you mask everything with we won last year. And that's very dangerous. Not to say that happened to the Golden State Warriors, in 2016, but they got over the hump. They were there. They beat the Cavs, and people talked about, well, listen, Golden State, this is the first time there. And they won that year in 15, and then it looked like in 16 they was kind of like, we already done did this before. You start having Klay Thompson talking about, running his mouth a little bit, and LeBron and them kind of got things going. But for me, I want the Cavs to be hungry. And I think you being the new upstart team has its advantages, especially when you've had the best record and you've done pretty good against the Celtics, Tyvis.
Yeah, I think that what he said was the right thing, and I think that's what a lot of people feel about the Cavs right now. It's great now, and you worry, can they win 12 games? The one thing that he said, though, that was interesting to me was he talked about the Bucks game, about how all these different guys, the best players, didn't have a particularly good game, but yet they still won the game. And what scares me about that statement is we talk about all the time when playoffs come around how the rotation shrinks. So my question would be, if those guys aren't having a good game and you shorten the rotation, where is the points coming from if those guys aren't on? So that kind of worries me because we all say, well, he's been playing 10, 11 guys a night, and all 10, 11 guys have been contributing to these wins. Like this one, it was Strus, Sam Merrill, but Sam Merrill's a guy that's on the fence of rotation minutes in the playoffs. So like that type of thing kind of scares me a little bit, but I'm confident that these guys won't have that off of a night. And if they did, it wouldn't be the core four. Like I feel like maybe one of them, maybe two of them at the most will have an off night, but not all four together.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that they had an off night in this. Shooting-wise, yeah, you could say that, but I think they still made their presence known, whether it was rebounding or assists. So I think that they can still be effective in the game in that way.
So, Mike, this is easy. So we all have to admit, and I think some in the fan. So you told me that there were some Cavs fans that were upset by what
Very
Windhorst
upset
said,
by those comments,
which is
why
insane to me that anybody would be upset. There's zero insult in what he said. He only said facts. Fact, the Celtics are the favorites. Fact, the Celtics should be the favorite. Now, maybe I guess technically that's not a fact. That's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
But
match up out of you.
It's a fact that they are the favorites. And they deserve to be, because the Celtics, have proven it. They've won in the playoffs. The Cavs have not. Donovan Mitchell has said it all year. Why would you be offended by something Brian Windhorst said that Donovan Mitchell has basically said the whole season? Maybe he hasn't said it that direct, but Brian Windhorst started the whole conversation by saying this is what Donovan's been saying all year, and he's right. Here's the thing. We all have to admit that there's a part of us that no matter how well the Cavs play, we all feel a tiny bit insecure about how they're going to perform in the playoffs because they have been disappointing in the playoffs the first 2 years. And we can acknowledge that we all think this team is way better than the last 2 years and still have a little part of us that's insecure. And that's the fans that are mad, Mike. The fans that are mad at what Brian Windhorst said are showing their insecurities. Instead of admitting that they're a little insecure, they're showing it by getting mad at Brian Windhorst.
Well, what if those fans, you know how we always joke and say, bullpens are year to year.
Right, yes.
Turnovers in NFL, year to year. So just because you had, a great year at certain things last year does not mean that predicts whether or not you're going to have a good or bad success this year. Because some of those fans be like, look, the team that we had was a completely different team. We didn't have DeAndre Hunter. That's a new sample size. Obviously, Kenny Atkinson, brand new coach, different sample size.
And that's all fair, but it's not a completely different team because your four best players are still here and have been here the last 2 years as the team has collapsed in the playoffs.
And some would say, all right, well, Evan Mobley is a completely different player.
Agreed.
Now, here's the thing. I think, can you still say all those things and still say, I'm going to give the Celtics the nod? Of course, I think those people just have a problem with being like, oh, man, I'm watching this team come out and dominate. But they don't like to concede the fact that even though you're dominating right now, there's a chance that might not carry over to the postseason.
Right. And let me ask you this. When LeBron was here, and I understand Jason Tatum, not LeBron. But how many times were the Cavs the 1 seed?
Not very many.
Not all the time.
And it didn't even matter.
And were we going into the playoffs saying the Atlanta Hawks should be the favorite because they had the best record?
The Toronto,
and again, I'm not saying the Cavs are the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not saying I don't believe in the Cavs. I have a lot of confidence in the Cavs. I have way more than I've had the last 2 years. And I absolutely think they can beat the Celtics and win a championship. I'm just saying it's not unfair to think that the Celtics should be favored because they have proven it when it matters the most.
Yes.
This may be the year, and I think there's a decent chance this is the year the Cavs do prove it. But until they've done it, you can't blame some people for doubting.
So watch this. So remember when LeBron was here in 2018? And LeBron, Kyrie had got traded.
Yeah.
Everybody they had Rodney Hood.
They did him wrong.
Yeah.
Jordan
Clarkson.
Yeah.
Lance. This guy, so first round.
Still took him to the final.
Four games, and that was when Victor Oladipo was playing for the Pacers. He was playing out of his mind. They beat them. Then you got to get to a point where you play the second round. I believe that in the second round they played the Hawks. No, the second round was the Raptors. And that's when they had Lowry and those guys, and LeBron single-handedly beat them.
Yeah.
He destroyed that franchise.
They get to Boston.
A lot of people thought Boston was going to win that
Boston should have won the series.
Yep.
They had Tatum. They had Kyrie Irving. He was hurt that year. He was hurt. But Brown, and they had a cast of guys, right? And
I think Jason Tatum's rookie year.
I think he might have been his second year.
But I think it was Tatum's rookie, Brown's second.
Yeah, so they get to that game.
He dunked on Brown.
And the Celtics win an early game in that series. And then LeBron James comes back, and it's a Game 7 in Boston Garden.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there, Boston Celtics fan, it's a wrap. You're not winning this game. And LeBron James single-handedly was like, no, this doesn't matter because you guys haven't been here yet.
And the Celtics, while obviously Jason Tatum's not as good as LeBron, the team is better than LeBron's team.
So now I can fully if you Tatum and Brown and Holiday and Brazil, they're not worried about no one seed.
And you're right, their confidence, and maybe they're overconfident, and maybe that will cost them. And I think the Cavs can win, but
let me add, Big Nuggets. I need you to do me a favor.
Sir, yes, sir. What's up?
Can you look up last year's performance in the playoffs, like the final scores for the games that Donovan played against the Celtics?
Yes, and while I'm doing that, I want to also mention that it is fair to have the same critique of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
100%.
I agree.
1,000%.
A lot of people got the Lakers beating them.
100%. But the biggest difference is there's no defending champs in the West.
Right.
So the Thunder, in theory, and would anybody be shocked if they didn't get to the finals? I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't get to the finals. The Thunder have just as much to prove as the Cavs do, 100%.
We got Charles Davis, so let me get the answer to Tyvis' question real quick. In the 3 games Mitchell played, the Cavs lost Game 1, 120-95.
Woo!
They won Game 2, 118-94. And then they lost Game 3, 106-93. Mitchell did not play in Games 4.
Again, the Cavs are a way better team
The
now.
only reason I say that is we seen the performances of the supporting cast last year. It was Donovan, and that was it.
That was it. So Cavs are way better.
They playing way better. If they can just pull their weight, they should be able to beat the
But the
Darius
Celtics
Garland.
Set up.
Remember the Celtics didn't have Porzingis.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
think
That's true.
last thing before we bring in Charles, even though it's 2-2, I would argue the Celtics have outplayed the Cavs in their 4 games overall this year, in my opinion.
You know